I heard a news story about a fascist war criminal from Guatemala. He was the brother of the president, and he murdered 1,200 indigenous people, at least murdered 1,200 indigenous people. And the reporter asked why they murdered indigenous people so much, because apparently, even after the next regime took over, everybody was taking turns murdering the indigenous people. And the response was that they were poor and defenseless, and that's why they did it. It's like, well, why do you have to murder anybody? But then they mentioned, of course, that their other reason was because they were accusing them of supporting the Marxist rebels. Like, well, why wouldn't you support the Marxist rebels for one thing? If the government keeps murdering your people, like just going into villages murdering everybody. So they said that they had accounts of them murdering the entire village except for the few people they kept for slaves, who managed to tell the reports. So terrible regimes, but also, whether or not they were supporting the Marxist rebels, they were getting murdered probably anyway. Which should let you know that, the Marxist rebels were probably on the right for trying to overthrow an evil, tyrannical regime. Oh, by the way, of course, America, the CIA, was supporting the evil, tyrannical regimes. The big picture of this is that this guy's finally going on trial, but he's 92 years old. It's been 40 years since he committed his crimes. So he got to, live out this life without any sort of punishment. And I think they mentioned his brother, died without any sort of punishment for his crimes. And we see it happening before our face with Putin's puppy not going in the pound. Trump is, they're bending over backwards to let him get away with everything. Like they just can't possibly have some rich and powerful person ever face justice. It makes me think that we need, and we don't have Netanyahu facing a trial right now for his war crimes. We don't have Putin facing trial for his war crimes. On and on. Um, these people aren't being held to account. Meanwhile, they could lock up and more often than not, or often enough, falsely lock up all sorts of uh, individuals, all sorts of people, good people, and maybe bad people too. But no matter how bad some of the bad people that they manage to lock up are, they're not nearly as bad as the people whose crimes and decisions affect and destroy thousands and millions of people's lives. It makes me want to have, like, I don't have a hashtag for this yet or anything, so let me know in comments if you have any ideas. But it makes me want to have, like, a campaign to say, look, no more justice against, the many and the meek until you have justice against the strong and, the few. Like, focus all the justice on those strong and few first before you arrest or prosecute or punish anybody else for anything. Get some punishment for Trump and Putin and Netanyahu and people who have committed crimes decades ago, but especially the ones who are still doing it now. Let's have some immediate justice and put, you know, all engines go towards that, all hands on deck for that to stop the evil tyrants. And maybe that we could get some force behind it if we were going to let everybody else alone until we did that first.